Hello and welcome to all members of our Ray White group attending this Unlocking the Vault Express webinar. My name's Tamara Ortiz, and in the next 15 minutes, I will show you how to use the reporting functionality of the Vault system. So we're going to start off today, obviously, in Vault. I'm going to take you through the different reporting functions that we have available because we have a much wider range of reports available to us now, which is really exciting. So jumping straight into Vault, the first thing I'm going to talk about is the principal reporting function. So this is something that should have been set up as part of your go live day process. But if you are wanting to check on this or adapt and change this as an administrator, if I do have any sales agents on with me today, you won't need to worry too much about this. But as an administrator, if we jump into the settings area and jump down to set up principal reporting, we just want to jump in here and check that this is all set up correctly. So we should always have obviously our principal as the recipient. You may also have the sales manager in your office or a database manager or key administrator receiving this report as well. So make sure those names are featured up the top here like you see with Daniel Gray and Rebecca Sharples. Choose what you want, how often you want this report to be delivered, whether you want that to be delivered weekly or if you want it to be delivered monthly. Probably don't need to have it turned on as both like you have in the example here. It's best to choose one or the other. You then have all of the options of what to include in this report, so you can see them all here. I would suggest if you are just setting this up for the first time, select them all, and then as the report begins to be emailed to you, you can come in and obviously adapt and change this, take things out that aren't necessary for you. Once you've set all that up, all you're going to do is press the Save Settings button. So that's the only report that we're going to look at today in the settings section. Now we're going to do a deep dive into our reports function. So on our left-hand side menu here, we're going to drop down our reports function. We're going to have a quick look through the majority of these reports that we have available here. So starting at the top and working our way down to the bottom. First of all, we have our activity report. So this report can be used to report on entire office data, or we can also just report on ourselves. So if any agents have access to the reporting functionality, you can use the activity report to produce reports for yourself. So looking at in between a particular date range, what appraisals you've done, what listings you've got, price reductions, properties that have gone under offer. We can also look at our unconditional properties, what's actually coming up for settled. This is obviously the actual settled, so we can also include proposed settlements in that data as well as withdrawn properties. I'm just going to flip this report back a little bit so that I have some data pulling in here so that we do have a good, I guess, capture of information to display what this report will show you today. So now if I press my refresh button down the bottom, sorry, I will also mention that you can run these reports for leasing as well as sale. And you can also then narrow it down to just residential properties or just commercial properties, just rural, just land as well. But I'm going to run a very generic sales capture today. I've switched it up as I said to my office because I do want to actually have some data pull into this report as well. For our administrators who are online today or our principals, you can use the custom tool here if you're just wanting to produce this report for a couple of members of your staff or just one member of staff in particular as well. So you can run these reports for each staff member individually. So now when I press my refresh button down the bottom, you can see that I have all of my data feeding in here. So I have all of the appraisals that have occurred since the start of March in there through to the current day. So we have all of our appraisals, and then we also do get down the bottom our appraisal to list ratio and the average days it takes us to list the property between appraisal and listing date. Obviously, this figure is not realistic, but you'll have more realistic data feeding in, remembering I'm operating out of a dummy database. We then also get all of our listings feeding in. We have agreed VPA feeding in as well, which is super useful, a list to sell ratio, and also average days on market being calculated here. We've got price reductions. So all of those areas that I selected above, we find them all feeding in here. And where there is the ability, there'll also be an overall quantity snapshot as well to give us an idea of cash flow and other bits and pieces like that. So that's the activity report. Switching up now to the changes report, the next one down, this is really just reporting on changes that have occurred within the system. So this is a bit more of a administrator function, definitely, rather than a salesperson function. So generally salespeople won't need to worry about this report too much. But like you can see here, this will actually report on all of the different changes that have occurred within the database. So this is probably not the perfect example, as it's giving us a lot of failed sends here, because obviously my database isn't actually connected up properly. So if I snap this back, let's see if I get a little bit better results here. It's still doing the same thing, obviously, because we're failing to send through to Concierge because our database isn't actually connected up to Concierge. But this will give you a track of what's happened, changes that have been made to properties and contacts and things like that. So that's what the changes report's for. For anyone online today who uses our Concierge service, you have your Concierge notes report available in here. So this will be turned on for all of our Concierge clients. And using this functionality here, we can actually do a search of the system to pull up any Concierge notes. Again, I don't have a perfect example because Concierge doesn't actually do calls out of this dummy database, but this is how you will focus on your Concierge notes. Very briefly, for our principals and administrators online, your end of month returns are processed through the reports and end of month returns section here. Very similar to what you're used to, you have your 3 different functionalities for reporting available. So our unconditional report, our settled release, and our outstanding report. So all we need to do is select the month that we're using. So I might go back to, let's say, February. And if I click view here, I'll be able to see the report. Obviously, this report is closed off as February has passed now, well and truly. But obviously, when you go to the current month, you'll have the option to roll over now, and you can also print the reports off from here. So that's the end of month reporting area. Feedback report, this one is quite cool and definitely useful for our sales agents. So using this report here, we can pull in all of the feedback that's been inserted into the system by us. We can also use this on an office level as well to monitor everything that's been added in by the entire office. So at the moment, you can see I'm just running the report for myself. You can also choose just to include certain note types. So if I was wanting to run just a report of everyone that I'd met at open homes over the past 2 weeks, like you can see with the dates above, I'll just pop in my open home inspection feedback as the note type to include here. And if I now press my search button, it's actually going to not bring much up because I haven't put much in the last 2 weeks, but let's drop it back so we actually get a little bit of data in here. Obviously, yours will produce a lot better than mine. So I've checked 2 people into this property at 330 Flinders Parade in Brighton, and you can see those people coming up here. We also do get some really cool graphs that populate here as well. So I do know that some of our officers do like to run campaigns about, you know, how many open homes we run and how many people we meet at open homes. So this is a really cool way to track that also. We then do also have our notes report. So this report you can run based on note type. So we can actually choose to see all notes that have been added into our system, or go by note type. So this is really cool. It's definitely a new functionality for us to be able to view all of the notes that have been added into the system by particular people, or we can run it, as I said, by all staff. So if I cancel this out here, it's actually going to bring in every note added by all of the people within my office. So if I just press my refresh button right now, you'll actually see all of the notes that have been added in the last 2 weeks by myself and my team. So we can see them all feeding in here. Very cool. Our precinct report exists in reports and precinct reports. So from here, I can actually select the precinct, or the precinct that I'm looking at. So if I just select a precinct now and press submit, we'll be able to see results for the properties that I have added into the system in here. So that is how we can look at our precinct data and see how much data we are holding within each precinct that we have set up. Precincts are set up separately through the properties and the precincts button there. So I'll just point that out. I'm going to skip over Report Writer and come back to that one because that's probably the biggest piece for today, and just quickly touch on the other ones here. So our login and access report is literally just that. Who's been logging in at what time. So you can see again, it's running on a particular date range. And if you are wanting to just look at one particular person and when they are logging into the database, you can do that here. This is more of an admin or principal function. The SMS or text usage is, again, super useful for our principals, also useful for our sales agents. So this will run a report and give you the details of text messages that have been sent out of the VaultRE system. So this is really useful for tracking costs and obviously tracking who's using the SMSing in your team. I don't have the SMS text usage set up for our demo database because we don't want to send any fake SMSs out. So unfortunately, I don't have any data to show you here, but this is what this area will be used for. The last one I'm going to talk about before we jump across to our report writer, which is our ability to write any report that we wish to, is our system activity section. So our system activity section is, again, a administrator or principal functionality that will show you what's been happening in the database at a system activity level. So like you can see here, I've just run this report very quickly for what's happened within the last week. And we can see here, these are I guess the really big ticket items that have been changed. So these will help if you have had people going in and changing like FPOC or marketing reps on properties. That is all tracked through this area here. So that is what system activity is for. You won't have Vault file usage, so do not worry about that one at all. So I'm going to jump now over to Report Writer. So this area is our new functionality to be able to create and produce reports based on data that we put into the system. So you can see we have created quite a number of reports in here that are options for us to use. I will just very quickly point out that over in our settings and access shared content area, which is available for all of our principals and admins, you do have the ability to actually go into the report writer section of here, and we've created a few reports that you can drag straight over into your account. So if there were a couple of reports in here that you thought you might like to add into your system, I would suggest ticking them and pressing copy into this account. And then what you'll find is when you go into reports and report writer, you will find that report sitting in there. Otherwise, you can create your own custom reports from scratch using the create report button down below here. You then give your report a name and then choose what exactly the report is reporting on. So is it reporting on offer conditions, or is it reporting on contacts using the date field? So the pipeline date or the birthday date field or anniversary date. Is it around the open homes? Is it around property owners? Is it around properties that are for sale or for lease? So choose what exactly it is that you're wanting to pull a report on. And then we'll proceed across to the next section. I'm not going to create a brand new one today because we've got quite a number in here already available. So I might just jump into this one that Mark Pierce has created, this listing expiry one. And what I can do is, using my other button, I will press edit and it's going to open up this report for me. So this is the next screen that you would see if you were processing through the new report. So you'll see it up the top, the name you've just given it and the report type. You can then filter by a status as well, or an authority end date for the property sales report type. But what you'll need to do is, these would normally not exist here if you're creating from new, and you'll have filter by options here. So based on the report type you select, you'll get different filter by options here, and those will place filters onto the report. So filtering things in and out of the report. What do you want to include? What don't you want to include? Choosing how we want that report to come out. So do we want it to come out as a print-friendly report? Are we wanting to produce an Excel spreadsheet? Are we wanting it to be done as a map, or the data format is there for us as well? And then lastly, you choose the fields you wish to include in the report. So if you are pulling reports across from that area that I showed you earlier, the access shared content, where we've created some reports for you, you can then see these in here, jump into other and press edit. And then if there were additional fields you wanted to add in, you simply just jump in here and you can actually scroll through to find the particular field you're wanting to pull in, or otherwise just use the search up the top. So as you can see, at the moment, we've got that bit hovering. So if I just put date in here, we can see all of the different date fields I can pull in for a sales property. So auction date or under offer date, all of those are fields that I could add in. Once you've selected the one you're wanting to add in, we press add field and column, and they'll stack in here. If you're wanting to change the way the report looks, you can pick things up and drop them around. So if I wanted the authority end date to be what appeared at the start, as you saw, I just dragged and dropped that to the top, but I'll pop it back down the bottom. You can then also sort by, so you might want to sort by property address or something like that, so that it appears in a particular order. You might want to order it by suburb, so on and so forth. So just click that there and then add in. Lastly, then I would suggest generating the report just to see what comes out. Obviously, we don't really have anything appearing in this report, but you'll see all of your results here. If you're then happy with that report, obviously you can print it out from here, but then you can save this report. Then the whole idea is that you can come into the report writer at any time and just press the open button, and it's going to basically give you the option to generate that report at any time, like you can see what's happening now on the screen. So that is a overview of all of our different reports that we have available within the new VaultRE platform. Just to finish up, I just wanted to show you very quickly how to access more content for training and resources. So from within the Vault platform, if we go to the Vault Hub, which is available, I'm just going to, refresh my screen because it's frozen for a moment there. So to access more content, like I said, or also to find support and assistance within the VaultRE Hub, within the VaultRE platform, we're going to go to the Vault Hub. You can also access support through the whiteboard system. So if I jump across to my Gen 5 page, jump into whiteboard, you will find support and training available here in whiteboard. So just quickly log in. So support and training available in our tile that exists in the middle of the page here on whiteboard. So we've got lots of information about getting prepared for Vault, and this is constantly being updated. So do check back here regularly, because we do get new information coming in here all the time. And also across in the Vault platform, we do have the ability to visit our Vault Hub down the bottom or log a support request. Using the Vault Hub, you do have the ability to watch webinars, and there's also a lot of fact sheets available in the Knowledge Hub. So that completes our Unlocking the Vault Express webinar today, all about reports. Thanks for joining us today. And if you have any questions, please do get in touch with your local digital BDE. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.